Seeing is a series of filters. Many more than you would even think. When you're walking around and looking at things and observing things and hearing things, going through all the things that we do, feeling the sand or wherever you're walking, it's all filters. It's all filters. But we're just walking around and going, okay, this is what I see. I see a rock. Not realizing that there's already a filter between me and you. And there's a filter between how I see that rock. If I have sunglasses on right now, I've filtered my vision. But it goes even deeper than the physical filters. There's perception filters. Filters that they're built in through the way that you've been prescribed growing up that you should observe and interact with reality. So something as simple as putting filters on you put filters on your eyes to have sunglasses. So there's a simple filter, but then we could talk about if you're into cinematography or just using cameras. There's filters and lenses. And if you're into using any type of audio equipment, there are filters and passes and bypasses for different types of sounds or energies. And then there's even deeper filters which really get into the mechanism of belief and what you think you're looking at. People look at a dog and they're scared of a dog because they grew up and they got bit by a dog. So their filter, their perception of that dog is now completely skewed. The dog could be the sweetest thing in the world, but they perceive little dogs as something not scary, but big dogs is scary. But in the real world, it's quite the opposite, because little dogs are fearful and want to attack, right? There's all of these different filters we put on things of how we think we know things to be. And even what I just said was a filtering mechanism to a degree. I mean, we could probably look at the stats on that. Little dogs tend to have a little bit more little man syndrome, Napoleonic complex. So little dogs have Napoleon complex, yeah. But when we get into even deeper forms of belief systems, what we observe with is not even our eyes. It's not our ears. It's something even more basic than that, more fundamental. But even before we get to the most, like, okay, let's get to the source. Everything is all one. We're not here doing that. It doesn't. You know, I've oftentimes got into the conversation with people like, oh, we're all one, Om Namah Shivaya, we're the same thing, and Namaste, love and light. And like, okay, fuck off, you know, because that's not how it works, because we're all divided up to have an experience. Yes, we come together in grouping mechanisms, such as, say, the Mayan calendar, and we have tribes, etc., which are even deep, you know, those are filters even as well. Just I'll do a little side note on that. Those are even filters too. But they encompass a lot more information. It'd be like if I could take this camera and make it circular so you could see more than just this screen that is using the golden rectangle to capture what I'm seeing, because what I'm seeing right now actually goes higher than what you're seeing, lower, left and right. And then as we get into these filters, what we're talking about is how we think things are, how we perceive things, and that's, you know, this is backpacking onto the idea about what time is, because it's really very much associated with time and what now is and what then is and what over there is. Space and time and perception are all spatial awareness. It's, you know, it's why women are not as good at driving, because their spatial awareness is different, because they're using more of a right-brained, left-handed dynamic of creativity, where a man can parallel park a car for the most part, and right-handed people have an easier time doing things that are mathematic oriented or spatially representative in a cubic form, because of the way that they've been brought up perceiving the world through their left brain, which is an order construct. So even that is a filter, a filtering mechanism for why women have a harder time driving and parking, because their brain is it's not that their brain works different, they're using a different aspect and different part of their brain. It's why men tend to be not as good at the things that women are good at. And I don't want to say cooking and cleaning and doing painting nails. Like these are because they're micro focused and oriented into detail work. When I used to years and years ago, I used to build houses, and my girlfriend at the time, we built houses. She was just better at the things that were detailed, micro oriented. So it worked out because I would do the heavy lifting and she would do the micro things. So that's how, if you collapse that into your mind, the way that we even filter what we're looking at here. What is this? How do you see? What do you see? Like the what is even farther. The what is a result of the how. You would say that's a rock. Well, how do you perceive that to be a rock? Because somebody says, no, that's a chair. Because watch, I can just sit right on it. See? I can sit right on that. Okay? So is that a chair or a rock? Well, yes, I don't want to play too many semantic games here, but this is just because I've touched on that before. Like, we don't get to just call that thing out there a Studebaker, you know, because we know what a Studebaker is, and it would drop to the bottom of the water. We don't get to call that thing a bag of Doritos. Like, you just don't get to do that. It doesn't work that way. But we do have a level of perception that allows us to identify with this in a different way, to have different uses and purposes. And that's by letting go of our expectations and our past experiences of things, we can start to be more creative and find more uses and what these things and stuff, and what is this? It's all matter. It's how did it get formed? How did that building become that building? Well, somebody looked at this stuff and said, oh, people like being here because of this, and then they took a bunch of those things and then they put some columns up after grinding it down, and they used masonry work, and they went through and they found somebody to put some carpets in and blah blah blah, and everyone went through this whole process. So they didn't they seen this but envisioned that, because their idea of time is different than yours. And so spatial dynamics and time referencing, what you're doing is you're taking the thing that I always try to prescribe to people, is take your imagination and put it in front of you. Like, whose building is that? Is that mine? Should I want that building? I don't know if I want that one, but I could probably have one of these buildings if I wanted. No, I certainly could, but I don't know if I want that much. Hey, I'll just hang out with this guy. See, check him out. Blah. So I changed my mind real quick. We'll do something else. But the focus of attention gets to take something like that rock, turn it into this, mush it up, turn it into something like that, which is what's going on in your mind all the time. As long as you can, instead of calling this sand, call this beachfront property. See, it's a completely different awareness. People out here on the beach are like, they came to the beach, they're spending money and doing all these things. To them, it's a vacation. Good. Some people go, no, this is not. This is my empire. This is what I'm doing. They own this, right? So find yourself a way to empty your mind, relax those harmonics in your mind that are. This is the breathing patterns. So. And this is putting your feet on the ground and grounding yourself. Relax your mind and get out of the patterns of recognition. And it takes a little while to do it, but once you change your breathing patterns, you're getting out of theta waves, you're getting out of delta waves, you're getting out of alpha waves, beta waves, whatever you're in. And so here you look at waves, and you produce different waves in your mind. So if you're used to being anxiety ridden in a beta wave or an alpha wave all the time, then you're only going to observe what someone sees when they're out in the ocean and there's big waves everywhere and everything's chaotic. The alpha and beta waves are chaotic. But then if you delta wave, it's like a flat, still lake. If you theta wave, it's probably somewhere near this. So we start to change the way that we do the simple things in life. The simple things are breathing, because that you do all the time. And then there's the next thing you do is drink liquid. So you observe liquid differently. This gets in all the ways I've described what liquid is. Just because you think alcohol is something that isn't, doesn't make it so. You always got to look at the things that people demonize. What's the most demonized thing in the world? I guarantee it's alcohol. But hey, go find your favorite authors, your favorite writers, the people that own these buildings. I guarantee they have a lot of fun times doing a lot of drinking. And then, so we go through these, and I'm not telling you all to go out and start like I always say as a little side note. I'm gonna say go just pick up a bottle and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels every day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we need to observe what these elements are differently, and then we have to put a future of our mind, taking the ideas of these and molding them and morphing them into something new. And then we'll see that the breathing is the easy thing to do. Just by changing, oh, is it the nose I'm breathing in, or is it the mouth? And then you might be, maybe you could even get into understanding what the higher level of what tobacco really is used for, and what all of these other herbs. The herbs are supposed to be dried and smoked, not necessarily supposed to be in your stew, but they can be. That's a way to get there. And then we go through these levels of the ingestion principles. And these ingestions that we had, the ingestions that we go through, there are always filters and portals for these things. So we change our filtering mechanisms. We filter things differently. And by cleaning ourselves, as I've always talked about, when you do fasting and using water to clean out everything, then when you use the different elements in the future, they all look different. They all feel different. They all have a different texture to them. They have a different density, a different possibility to them. So, hope you guys have a beautiful day, or obviously you can go, eat shit if you need to. Do whatever you need to do, but it will get you wherever you want to go. And have fun exploring and creating and breathing and meditating or doing nothing. Talk soon, y'all. Peace!